Hey guys, Milky Way. Tonight, we will journey to a distant, silent world, Planet 47K, a mysterious place where the sands shimmer with unseen energy, the sky hums with ancient melodies, and every pulse beneath your feet tells a story older than time itself. Before we begin, make your bed comfortable, dim the lights, and allow your body to fully relax. Close your eyes, take slow, deep breaths, and feel the quiet rhythm of this alien world settle around you. With every breath, let yourself become lighter, more attuned to the whispers and vibrations that echo from beneath the planet's silver crust. Now, get completely comfortable, surrender to the quiet hum of the unknown, and let yourself be carried away on this cosmic, peaceful journey. Let's begin the story. The sky was not black that night. It was softer, the color of breath held too long, a quiet, endless dusk that never quite decided to turn into night. Through that stillness, a small ship drifted, a speck of silver against an ocean of silence. Inside it sat a woman named Elara Quinn, awake for far too many hours to remember what sleep felt like. Her reflection in the cockpit glass looked more ghost than flesh. Eyes ringed with fatigue, expression hollow yet searching. The hum of the engines was the only heartbeat she trusted anymore. When the navigation lights flickered, she leaned forward and whispered, confirmed descent. The ship's voice, gentle and nearly human, answered with the calm of a dream. Breathable air, moderate gravity, unknown energy below the surface. Unknown, that word again. It had followed her across half the galaxy, like a promise she didn't know how to break. Below her, the unnamed planet waited in perfect stillness, wrapped in silver clouds that glowed faintly from within. No cities, no satellites, no signal of civilization. Only the faint shimmer of sand and a pulse of blue light moving beneath the crust, like veins under translucent skin. Elara guided the ship through the mist. The descent smooth as drifting snow. The turbulence came like a sigh, not a shake. When the landing struts touched the ground, the sound was a single note, soft, final, almost grateful. She exhaled into the silence. Touchdown. Her voice barely reached her own ears. Outside the glass, the world looked empty, yet it felt like something was listening. The hatch opened with a hiss, and the air that met her was unexpectedly gentle. She stepped down, boots sinking half an inch into dust that glittered faintly under a light with no source. The sky was neither day nor night. It was both, like the pause between inhale and exhale. Her sensors blinked with slow assurance. Temperature mild, radiation minimal, biosigns undefined. Beneath the surface, a faint resonance. She knelt, pressed her gloved hand into the silver grains, and the vibration met her skin, a tone more felt than heard, a hum steady as a sleeping pulse. "Are you alive?" she whispered, and though nothing moved, the air seemed to deepen, as if the world had drawn a breath. 100 paces from the ship, something interrupted the endless sand, a small circular structure half buried and nearly devoured by time. Its corroded surface still emitted a faint blue glow. She brushed it clean and saw old markings. Eon Mission 47K. Status terminated. Yet the beacon was still awake. When she pressed the panel, static bloomed, and a broken voice slipped through. "If anyone hears this, do not stay when the sky begins to sing." The message looped once, then faded. Elara straightened slowly, the sound of those words settling into her bones. She looked up. The sky, pale and infinite, seemed too quiet now. like a stage before music begins. She set her portable shelter beside the ship, a transparent dome breathing its own soft light. Inside, she spoke into the recorder, her voice low and careful. Planet 47K, atmosphere stable. Found beacon from previous mission. Source of resonance unidentified. The words felt mechanical, detached from feeling. And when she stopped speaking, the silence filled the dome like water rising in a glass. Outside, the horizon curved gently, smaller than Earth's, more intimate, as though the planet leaned closer to listen. She rubbed her eyes, exhaustion thick as fog, but sleep still refused her. She had forgotten how to surrender to it. The hum outside continued, a heartbeat she couldn't locate. Later, she wandered toward the sound. The sand shifted under her boots, and faint lines of blue light pulsed beneath each step. The hum grew stronger, not loud but near, matching the rhythm of her own pulse. She crouched, pressing both palms to the ground. For a moment, she felt her heart synchronize with the planet's pulse, beat for beat. The sensation was intimate, unsettling, beautiful. Then it faded, leaving only quiet tremors that lingered in her fingers. She rose, trying to shake off the feeling, but a thought had already taken root. The planet was dreaming, and she had stepped into its dream. When the first note came, she almost missed it. A thin, crystalline tone drifted through the air like wind passing through glass. Then another followed, and another, forming a melody so delicate it could have been imagined. She looked up. The sky was deepening, colors sliding toward dark blue, the edges of the horizon trembling with light. The sound gathered until it filled the air around her, low, steady, sorrowful. The sky was singing. Her breath caught. The warning from the beacon echoed inside her head. Do not stay when the sky begins to sing. Yet she couldn't move. The melody wrapped around her like warmth in cold water, lulling, irresistible. Her knees weakened. She wanted to close her eyes. For the first time in weeks, she felt peace, almost the beginning of sleep. But then the tone changed. Beneath the melody came a second voice, low and questioning, not made of sound but of thought. Why are you here? Why did you wake us? The words arrived without language, pulsing directly through her heartbeat. The air thickened, the stars wavered, lines of light bending toward the ground. She stumbled backward. The song collapsed into a sharp ringing, then silence so complete it felt like a vacuum. The hum beneath the ground stopped. The world exhaled once and went still. When awareness returned, she was lying beside the ship, her helmet scraped, her suit lights flickering. The sand around her glowed faintly as if it remembered something bright. The ship's console blinked in warning. Unidentified energy surge detected. 43 minutes unaccounted for. Her head throbbed. She reached for the recorder she'd dropped. Its screen was cracked but still running. She replayed the last entry. At first only static, then her own voice, soft and strange. I see them. They're watching from beneath the glass. They look like light moving under my feet. No, wait, the recording cut off. She stared at it, trying to breathe evenly. She didn't remember seeing anyone, didn't remember speaking those words. But she could still feel something under the surface, awake and aware. Inside the shelter again, the walls hummed faintly with energy, though all systems read normal. She sat with her knees drawn up, eyes fixed on the horizon. Outside, the mist drifted like slow tides. She thought about leaving, about returning to the void between worlds, but the pull of the unknown held her still. Somewhere below, something was alive in a way she couldn't define. The beacon's voice replayed in her head, gentle and final. Do not stay when the sky begins to sing. Yet a quiet part of her wanted to hear it again. Hours or moments passed. Time folded into itself. The hum returned, weaker now, almost shy. It vibrated through the dome, through her bones. She whispered into the silence. I didn't come to harm you. I came to understand. The vibration deepened, a single low note like agreement. Maybe the planet had understood. Maybe it was dreaming again and had accepted her inside its dream. Elara lay back, eyes open, afraid that if she closed them, she would see what waited beneath the sand. The sky outside flickered between blue and silver. She realized she was no longer certain which light was real. Fatigue pressed down, but sleep still hovered just out of reach, like a word she could almost remember. The hum steadied, matching her heartbeat once more. For the first time in years, she felt herself drifting, not into sleep exactly, but into the calm that lives just before it. The planet's rhythm guided her there, soft as breath, endless as orbit. Somewhere far beneath her, something luminous shifted in the dark, dreaming of her the way she dreamed of it. And so the night continued without measure. Two consciousnesses, one human, one planetary, listening to each other breathe in silence. Elara Quinn awoke to a stillness that felt almost unnatural, as though the planet itself had held its breath while she slept, or had tried to. Her body ached in ways she had forgotten could be felt, muscles tight from hours of alertness, her mind buzzing with fragments of the night before. The soft pulse under the sand, the faint voice from the beacon, the crystalline song of the sky that had wrapped around her and left her trembling with both fear and awe. The first light that filtered through the thin clouds wasn't light at all. It was a soft vibration, a gentle oscillation that brushed against her eyelids, telling her that the world outside was already awake, aware, and waiting. She sat up, drawing her knees to her chest, and for a moment simply listened, letting the hum of the planet vibrate through the soles of her boots into her bones. It was a rhythm she did not yet understand, but it resonated deep within her, and she realized with a chill thrill that she had begun to attune herself to it. The sand shifted under her weight as she rose, each step awakening faint blue lines beneath the surface that flickered like nerve endings. She traced them with her eyes, mesmerized by the subtle dance of energy, almost as if the planet was breathing beneath her. Somewhere below, something alive stirred, and she could feel its consciousness brushing against her own, distant yet intimate. The air smelled faintly metallic, tinged with a subtle warmth that made her skin prickle, and she realized that every molecule around her was vibrating in a chorus too precise to be random. She walked slowly, carefully, following the pulse that guided her feet, as though the planet itself were extending invisible hands to lead her deeper into its secret. Ahead, the half-buried beacon of the previous mission lay like a sentinel frozen in time. Its corroded metal reflected the faint inner light, and Elara crouched to examine it more closely. Her gloved fingers brushed away the dust, revealing markings worn smooth by centuries or decades of neglect. Eon Mission 47K. Status: terminated. Yet even abandoned, the device hummed faintly, a miniature echo of the world beneath. When she activated its scanner, data flickered on the cracked screen in waves of unreadable glyphs, lines that seemed to shimmer with their own consciousness. Her heart quickened as she realized that this beacon was more than a relic. It was a transmitter of memory, a bridge between the world above and whatever slumbered below. Then she saw it, a narrow passage, barely visible beneath the sand, traced with the same flickering blue lines. It was almost invisible, as if the planet itself had tried to hide it. Yet she could feel the pull. Her pulse synchronized with the faint vibration coming from below, a subtle invitation. And she stepped forward, each movement cautious but compelled. The passage curved into the earth, faintly widening as she descended, and the temperature shifted, cooler now, though not uncomfortable, more like the embrace of a memory long forgotten. Every step reverberated through the walls, sending ripples of sound she could feel in her chest, and each vibration carried with it a sense of awareness, of something alive, observing, patient, and unblinking. As she reached the heart of the corridor, the glow intensified. She raised her head, seeing the source of the faint illumination. Strands of light that rose from the ground like threads, coiling and twisting toward an unseen ceiling, resonating with the hum beneath her feet. The vibrations became more complex, forming a cadence she instinctively understood, even though she could not name it. It was a language of sensation rather than sound, a code of energy that spoke directly to her nerves. She felt a shiver run down her spine, and for the first time since arriving, she allowed herself to pause and simply listen. The first note arrived not as a sound, but as a pressure, a slight tightening in her chest and limbs that drew her awareness inward. Then another, and another, a sequence forming an impossible melody, one that moved in multiple dimensions at once, threading through space and time in a way her mind could barely comprehend. The passage seemed to breathe with it, expanding and contracting subtly, and she realized with a sense of awe that the entire structure, the sand, the walls, the glowing filaments, was participating in the song. The planet itself was alive, singing, and she was a reluctant audience, uninvited yet accepted. A sudden shift in tone caused her to stumble. The vibration deepened, questioning, probing. "Why have you come? What do you seek?" These words were not audible, but internal, felt like currents running through her nervous system, pulsing in perfect rhythm with the unseen heartbeat beneath the ground. Elara froze, unable to respond with speech, but her thoughts reached out, clear and deliberate. "I come seeking understanding. No haram, only knowledge." The pause that followed was tangible, the planet's silence weighing like water. Then the melody shifted again, softer now, more contemplative, and the glow beneath her feet pulsed gently in acknowledgement. She took a cautious step forward, feeling the pulse adjust to her movement, accommodating, guiding. It was not mere interaction. It was communion, subtle and profound. Every sense she possessed became attuned to the world. Every heartbeat matched the rhythm below, and slowly, imperceptibly, she began to move as if she belonged, though she knew she did not. The corridor opened into a vast chamber, its scale impossible to estimate. Stalactite-like filaments of light hung, suspended, casting long, wavering shadows that seemed alive, twisting with a sentience she could almost recognize. The floor was not solid but translucent, glowing softly, and through it she could glimpse faint shapes moving below. Patterns of light, geometric and fluid, weaving around unseen structures, as if the planet's consciousness had taken form. Elara hesitated, breath shallow, mind awash in a mixture of exhilaration and dread. She realized that she was not merely observing life. She was inside it, part of a system so intricate it could only exist as thought and sensation. She knelt, placing her hand on the floor. The glow responded, flowing into her fingers, drawing a slow current through her veins. Her pulse aligned completely with the rhythm of the planet, her breath matching the subtle rise and fall of the energy around her. For a long time, she simply stayed there, absorbing the slow, intricate music of this alien mind, aware that every heartbeat and pulse told a story she could never fully interpret, yet understood instinctively. Suddenly a shift. The patterns below twisted into a spiral, spiraling inward and upward, and the rhythm broke, becoming urgent, sharp, almost anxious. Elara pulled back instinctively, heart racing. The energy hummed around her, louder now, almost tangible in its insistence. A thought slashed through her consciousness, crisp and alien. Do you see? Do you comprehend the depth of what you have awakened? She could not answer in words. She could only stay still, letting herself sink into the vibration, letting the planet's song move through her like a tide, washing away certainty, leaving only awareness. The realization came slowly. She was no longer merely an observer. She had become a participant, a node in the planet's network of life and thought. Each pulse, each note, each vibration was part of her now, just as she had become part of it. Hours, or perhaps moments, passed. Time was irrelevant here. It existed only as the planet allowed, folding, stretching, collapsing into itself. Elara walked carefully along the luminous floor, each step sending ripples that the planet received and mirrored, the echo of her presence bouncing back in subtle patterns of blue and silver. The energy that had once been probing now flowed in harmony, a quiet acknowledgement of coexistence. When she finally returned to the surface, stepping out into the silver dust of the open planet, the sky was calm again, unbroken, but she knew it had changed. She had changed. Each grain of sand beneath her boots still pulsed faintly. Each breeze whispered fragments of sound she could almost understand. Somewhere, deep beneath the glowing crust, the consciousness of the planet rested, aware, waiting, dreaming, and she was a part of that dream now, a sleepless witness to its slow, patient rhythm. Elara paused and looked up, sky and horizon merging in an endless gradient of silver and pale blue. For the first time since arriving, she did not feel alone. The echoes in the dust had welcomed her, and she understood, in a way words could not contain, that the planet's memory, its song, its infinite, pulsing heartbeat would accompany her long after she left. And she also knew that leaving might not be her choice, not yet. And so the day, or what passed for day, continued, stretching into itself like an unbroken note, while two consciousnesses, one human and one planetary, shared the same rhythm, listening to each other breathe, eternally aware in the silent vastness. Elara had learned, in the quiet hours of the planet's awakening, that time was a lie, or at least a flexible concept here. The sun, if it could be called that, did not rise or set. Shadows did not lengthen or shrink. Instead, light shifted imperceptibly, sliding along the horizon in slow, subtle pulses, more rhythm than illumination. She walked across the silver sands, aware that each step sent tiny vibrations into the ground, tiny ripples of consciousness that the planet seemed to register and respond to. And yet, no matter how far she walked, the landscape remained the same, endlessly stretching, folding in on itself, as if the planet existed outside chronology entirely. The passage she had discovered yesterday led her deeper still, past the glowing blue corridors, into an area where the ground undulated subtly, like waves frozen mid-motion. Here, the vibrations beneath her feet were irregular, almost impatient, as though the planet was trying to teach her something or warn her of something she could not yet perceive. She knelt and pressed her palms into the sand, closing her eyes. The pulse of energy here was different, sharper, quicker, layered like a stack of interlaced rhythms, each one telling its own story. And then she heard it, a faint ticking, not mechanical, not clockwork, but organic. Her eyes snapped open. There was no clock, no hands, no visible mechanism. Yet the ticking was everywhere, emanating from the very air, vibrating through the walls of the subterranean chamber, through the glowing strands of light, through the sand itself. Each tick was irregular, refusing any pattern her mind could follow. It felt both ancient and newborn, a heartbeat that had no beginning and no end. Elara walked forward, compelled, following the pulse. The corridor widened into a cavern so vast that even her advanced sensors struggled to define its dimensions. The ceiling was lost in shadow, yet faint strands of blue and silver light hung suspended, coiling and twisting like the arms of a celestial clock without hands. With each step, the ticking grew louder, more insistent, resonating with her own pulse, threatening to overwhelm her senses. She realized, with a mix of terror and awe, that this was the planet's memory made audible, a chronicle of events not in hours or minutes, but in resonances and vibrations that had persisted for millennia. A sudden shift occurred. The light strands began to twist violently, a cyclone of energy spiraling upward and outward. The ticking accelerated, overlapping with itself in impossible syncopation. Elara stumbled, gripping the glowing strands for balance. The energy felt alive, sentient, aware of her presence. Thoughts, not words, echoed through her mind. You feel time as we do. You're trying to measure what cannot be measured. You are awake when we sleep, and yet you belong here. She pulled her hands away, breath shallow. The sensation was dizzying, time folding, bending, compressing, stretching in ways that made her entire perception real. She stumbled across the glowing floor and realized she could see her own pulse as a stream of light, intertwined with the planetary rhythm. Her heartbeat was no longer hers alone. It was part of a network, an exchange of awareness that blurred the line between self and planet. And then she understood. This was the clock without hands. Not a clock of seconds or minutes, but of awareness, a measure of consciousness itself. Every vibration, every pulse of light, every movement of the sand was a tick in a rhythm she had only just begun to comprehend. She was standing inside the memory of a living world, where time had no fixed point, only continuity, only resonance. She walked further, reaching the heart of the cavern, where a pool of liquid light reflected nothing yet everything. The glow pulsed slowly, like breathing, and within it, faint shapes seemed to move, memories of beings that may have existed here, forms too subtle to name. As she stared, she saw the echoes of previous explorers, ghosts of intention, captured in the rhythm of the planet. They had touched the sand, awoken the pulse, and now their consciousness lingered in these vibrations. Elara knelt beside the pool, her reflection merging with the light. She whispered, though the words were almost unnecessary, "I don't want to disturb you. I only want to understand." The light pulsed in response, not as words, but as understanding, warmth seeping into her mind and body. The tick of the clock, without hands, slowed, aligning with her own pulse. forming a syncopated duet that stretched beyond comprehension. Minutes, hours, days, she could not say which passed. Or perhaps none passed at all. She wandered the cavern, tracing the strands of energy, feeling her consciousness stretch and fold with the planetary memory. Every step was an equation of thought and sensation. Every breath an interaction with the living world around her. She realized that the planet had no need for clocks. Its life, its memory, its song existed in layers of resonance, and she was learning to move between them. A sudden ripple moved across the pool. Shapes emerged, geometric, fluid, impossible. They circled her, not threatening, not benign, but aware, studying, acknowledging. Their presence carried a message she could feel more than understand. You are awake. You hear the song. You're a part of the rhythm now, whether you choose it or not. Elara's breath caught. She had thought she came here to observe, to catalog, to study. But the planet, in its subtle omnipotence, had chosen her as a participant. There was no way to leave the clock without hands, without leaving a piece of herself behind, without altering the rhythm she had touched. And yet, she felt no fear, only a profound, overwhelming awe, a sense that she had crossed a threshold that very few humans could comprehend. She stood, allowing the pulse to surround her, to guide her movements. Each step became a gesture of understanding, each breath a dialogue with the world. The tick of the clock, without hands, continued, relentless and patient, echoing through the cavern, reverberating through her mind and heart. She could feel the weight of millennia in every pulse, the memory of every particle vibrating in perfect harmony with her own. Hours or centuries folded over themselves. The strands of light above twisted, coiled, and expanded. The planet was singing again, but this time the melody was not just in sound or vibration. It was in consciousness itself. Elara realized that sleep was no longer her need. Awareness had replaced it. She was fully awake, yet fully at peace, cradled in the rhythm of a world older and more alive than she had ever imagined. When she finally returned to the surface, stepping out onto the silver sands once more, the planet exhaled softly. The sky was still, the horizon unbroken, and for a brief moment, Elara felt the full weight of the clock without hands settle in her chest, a pulse shared between human and planetary consciousness. She understood, with an intimacy that terrified and comforted her in equal measure, that the rhythm she had touched would follow her forever. And so the planet breathed, she breathed, the two of them entwined in a timeless dance, a song without measure, a clock without hands, echoing endlessly in the dust. The surface of planet 47K was calm when Elara emerged from the cavern, the silver dust stretching endlessly beneath a horizon that seemed to breathe. Yet beneath that placid exterior, she could feel it, subtle, almost imperceptible vibrations that tickled her awareness, teasing at the edges of perception. The planet was awake in a way that defied logic, and she knew she had only glimpsed a fraction of its memory, a mere echo of the consciousness pulsing just below the crust. Her boots sank slightly into the glittering dust, each step sending faint blue lines flickering beneath her. The hum she had grown attuned to throbbed stronger now, but it carried a new complexity, a layering of tones and rhythms that suggested not just awareness but intelligence. Something alive stirred beneath the surface, and she felt it watching, thinking, waiting. She approached the edge of a small ridge overlooking a stretch of crystalline dunes. The ground beneath her shivered softly, as if acknowledging her presence. She crouched and placed her palms against the dust. The vibration was subtle at first, a gentle pulse, but then it deepened, coiling upward, seeping into her bones. Her heartbeat synchronized with the rhythm beneath her, a shared tempo of curiosity and understanding. And then, faintly, almost like a whisper, she heard it, something deliberate, intentional, and impossibly patient. "Why do you come?" The voice was not sound, but resonance, threading through her consciousness. It felt alive, almost sentient, as though the planet itself had chosen this moment to communicate directly. She swallowed hard. "I come to understand. I am not here to harm," she replied, sending her intent back through the vibrations. There was a pause, a silence that felt denser than the air around her. Then, a ripple ran through the ground, spreading outward in concentric waves. The dunes shifted ever so slightly, the silver dust shimmering like a liquid surface disturbed by unseen currents. The planet's consciousness was probing her, testing her, and in the stillness of that moment, Elara felt a profound humility. She was not an explorer here. She was a guest, a witness. Her portable scanner beeped softly, but she barely noticed it. The data it provided, unfamiliar energy patterns, fluctuating magnetic fields, minor tectonic micro-shifts, was meaningless compared to what she felt. Beneath her feet, deep under the crust, there were networks, veins of energy that twisted and coiled like roots of a colossal, unseen tree. They pulsed with a rhythm older than any human memory, a rhythm she realized she could tap into if she allowed herself to surrender to it. She began to walk, slow, deliberate steps, following a path dictated by intuition rather than sight. Each step aligned her more closely with the vibrations, and soon she noticed shapes forming beneath the semi-translucent ground. Glimmers of structures buried deep, geometric and fluid, weaving in and out of existence like frozen motion made visible only through the planet's pulse. It was a language she did not understand yet, but her mind recognized the intention behind it. This world remembered, and it spoke in memories etched into matter itself. As she moved, the whispers grew louder, threading through her thoughts in patterns she could feel but not hear. They were not words in any human sense, but messages carried through vibration and resonance. Curiosity, warning, invitation, something else, harder to define, an impatience, as if the planet had been waiting for someone to hear it, to listen without trying to control it. She closed her eyes, letting her hands trail along the silver sand. The pulses deepened, spiraling up her arms, coiling around her spine, until she could feel the very layers of crust beneath her, alive and aware, breathing with the slow certainty of a world that had endured eons. A fissure appeared ahead, glowing faintly with the same blue light she had seen in the cavern. The energy there was different, almost chaotic, like a memory too vivid to remain hidden. She knelt at its edge, pressing her palm against the glowing surface. Immediately, she felt a surge of thought, fragmented, disjointed, but undeniably alive. She glimpsed shapes moving beneath the crust, luminous bee,